Thank you for making out time to listen to this innovation, wisdom-filled, and life-transforming message from Dr. Joshua Kolawole. He is a transforming minds evangelist with Valdymas College. Our passion is to make you a strategic innovator and help you move from a socialized mind into a transforming mind, a self-transforming mind. Now let's take a deep dive into the message.
I love Valdymas.
Good morning, my dear students. I'm here again. I am Dr. Kolawole Joshua. I'm here again today on Project Read to discuss about combating 7 poor attitudes to effective learning. I'm a transforming minds evangelist, and I'm with Valdymas College of Advanced and Preliminary Studies in Ilorin, Nigeria. And you see, my passion about Project Read is to see all senior secondary school students to commit to 3 hours of reading, at least 3 hours of reading every day. If you can do that consistently, you're sure guaranteed to be able to crush every exams along your pathway. And even when you do not have examination, I expect you to commit to using those time to read leadership materials. You would face 2 kinds of problem in your life. Number 1 will be leadership problem, and number 2 will be technical problems. If you look at your life day by day, you will see that the basic challenges you're facing are actually the challenges of having to solve leadership or adaptive issues. The ability to think, the ability to problem solve at speed, and all those. And then you will have to solve technical issues that are related to your academics. So as a student, it is of essence that you commit to an average of 3 hours of study a day. So Project Read means restoring excellence in academic diligence. We want to call our students to shun examination malpractices. We want us to read, to study, to learn, and to succeed with pride. We are calling on parents and older siblings to stop sponsoring or supporting examination malpractices. Instead, fund our ability to study, our ability to read, buy books for us, get us comfortable to be able to sit down and read, encourage us, support us. Teachers, school owners, community leaders, public office holders, we are calling you to strengthen our academic values. We're calling on examination bodies to step up their game against all forms of examination malpractices. And then fellow pupils and candidates, we want us to all stand our ground to maintain examination standards. We want to take pride in success. This is from the stables of Valdymas College of Advanced and Preliminary Studies. Valdymas College, we are in the mind transforming business and we're building metal leaders. We operate the best and most innovative school management system in Nigeria. We are the industry standard for access, for quality, and for relevant education. You see, if you perchance know anyone who wants to secure admission into the university and has a challenge, that is where we are specialized at. We solve 2 problems. We train each student to be academically sound and to be sound in leadership character. And then number 2, we help all students to secure admission. Those are the 2 reasons why we exist. So you can contact us on the phone numbers that you can see on the screen. I would like us to think deep this morning before I go into the 7 poor attitudes, 7 poor attitudes that affect effective learning. And I would need us to read this quote by William. It says, you can rule ignorance. You can manipulate the illiterate. You can do whatever you want when the people are uneducated. So that goes in line with corrupt business and corrupt politics. You can rule ignorance. You can manipulate the illiterate. You can do whatever you want when the people are uneducated. And so that goes in line with corrupt business and corrupt politics. Look, when you stay ignorant, the world will rule you. They will rule you. They will manipulate you. So you cannot afford to stay ignorant. You cannot afford to stay illiterate. You cannot afford to stay uneducated. I know you can make money through different means. I am only urging you that do not stay ignorant, do not stay illiterate, don't stay uneducated. The Economist, one of the widely read magazines across the world. I think ABC mentioned that they had more than 1.5 million readership per week or something, if I could remember clearly. It's based in the UK, basically. The Economist's goal is to take part in a severe contest between progressive intelligence, which presses us forward, and an unworthy, timid ignorance obstructing our progress. So I see it this way. In life, every day, you are in a severe battle. Yes, in a severe battle between knowledge, which presses you forward, and ignorance, which tries to hold you back. So you decide each day what side of the equation you want to lean on. Do you really want to lean on the side of knowledge, learning, effective learning, or you want to lean on the side of ignorance, of poverty of the mind? And that is, of course, dangerous, and you know that. And let me remind us Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s quote again. He says, "There's nothing in the world more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity." You have a responsibility to be intelligent. You have a responsibility to be knowledgeable. You have a responsibility to be intelligent, to be a learner. And intelligence is not enough. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. So you have a responsibility to be intelligent at all costs, and you must seek character with your intelligence. Let me now jump into the 7 poor attitudes to effective learning. The 7 poor attitudes that affect effective learning that are found out. Number 1 is laziness. Number 2 is complacency. Number 3 is the fear of the unknown. Number 4 is pride or arrogance. Number 5 is rebellion. Number 6 is sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. And number 7 is exhaustion. And let's go over them again. Laziness, complacency, fear of the unknown, pride or arrogance, rebellion, sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. And then number 7 is exhaustion. Laziness is the quality of being unwilling to work or to want to use your energy or make an extra effort. Is the state of idleness. You see, at any point where you have the feeling of just listening around instead of working, aside from when you really need to rest, when you just feel like resting every time, or you have reasons or excuse for why you can't, you won't, or you shouldn't do something, that is laziness. You have an excuse for everything. Lazy people spend too much time on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, spend too much time. Lazy people procrastinate. Lazy people, instead of pursuing very high achievement, they settle for average because they are not ready to commit too much of their energy. Lazy people uses fear as an excuse. Fear of failure, fear of change, fear of challenging situations. They have fear of taking responsibility. They are the ones who believe in sincerity of purpose, but they do not want to take responsibility to become. Fear, and then they demonstrate lack of confidence, lack of commitment. When you see people like this, they are lazy. When you see yourself doing like this, you are lazy. So we must understand this. And please, I would encourage you to write down because this will really help you. There's a lot of stuff in here that would guide you towards becoming an effective learner because learning is an active process. It is not a passive process. Learning is really, really active. Now, to combat this demon called laziness, you must create an academic plan of action for yourself. You must have your educational pursuit. This plan must be specific, must be measurable, must be realistic and time-bound. How many months do I want to use to read my chemistry textbook, my geography textbook, my economics textbook? If I'm going on a 4 weeks break, what academic plan can I put over those 4 weeks holidays? When I'm going on a weekend, what plan is taking over my weekend? There must be specific. It must have timelines. It must be realistic for you based on what happens in your house if you're at home, and or what happened in your hostel if you're in a boarding house system. In your plan, you must set realistic but challenging goals. 6 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours in every 24 hours. It must be realistic. It must be something you can do. You can keep stretching yourself to increase it, but it must be realistic. Do not wait for a perfect timing or situation. I promise you there's no perfect time. You must be willing to launch out to read, to study. You must be willing to do that. You must learn to use your strength, your energy, your intelligence, always to keep learning. Of course, learning is an active process. It will demand for your attention, concentration, your intelligence. It will demand for your energy. You must be strong. There will be distraction from your phone, distraction from friends, distraction even from parents, from teachers occasionally. You see, people love activities. They just love running around helter-skelter, solving things. But sometimes it's good to just kill those excessive energy, settle down at a spot, and read, and learn, and study. Get to meet with someone, schedule time, talk together, let the person teach you. You must avoid distraction. You must focus on your learning daily. Focus on your learning daily. Focus on your learning daily. You must pursue healthy habits, good diet, good diet. You know, the world has moved from just balanced diet to healthy diet. Your diet must be healthy. Sleep and rest. You need adequate sleep and rest, but you cannot afford to sleep too much. There are occasions where you have to encroach well into your sleep. You know, wellness programs recommend 8 hours of good night rest, but occasionally you may have to do less. And then occasionally you may have to cover up with a siesta. But do not forget, it is necessary to have adequate sleep and rest. Exercise, enough hydration. Make sure your water, average of 3 liters of water if you stay in the tropics. And then adequate meditation while you're reading. Pursue healthy living habits. Seek medical help early when needed to manage any cause of low energy level. When you see that consistently your energy level has been low, you've been trying to push against it, that is not the usual way you used to be. Then seek medical attention. Perhaps, just seek medical help. See a doctor. So it would help you to regain your strength. Number 2 is complacency. Complacency, indifference, or passionlessness. You know, it's a dangerous thing for your passion to be taken away from you, because this is the life to your purpose. Passion is that desire, that strong desire that is greater than death. There's a strong desire that's greater than death that fuels your purpose, that fuels the discovery of your purpose. A feeling of quiet pleasure or security, contentment, or self-feeling of enough is complacency. An instance of unusual, being unaware or uninformed about your self-satisfaction. Look, you have to be careful. We get to stages in life where you think you have arrived. I have 4 A's in my WAEC. I've got 310 in JAMB. I am this excellent. I have this score in SAT. I have this score in test of English as a foreign language or in IELTS. And you get to relax. It is a dangerous scenario or a place to get to. You cannot afford to get to a place and be indifferent. You must, like an aircraft, be tunneling through scenarios with consistent energy and focus, with power. That is who you are. As a project read student, you're designed for excellence. You're designed for greatness. You're designed to have a mindset that tunnels through circumstances. What are the 5 danger signs that complacency is eating up your career or your future? Number 1, I have 5 points there. Number 1, you're no longer striving to do your best to learn, to read, and to study daily. When you notice that daily, you are not learning, you're not reading, you're not studying. You get to sleep early, you get to watch movies, you are seeing comedy on Facebook, on Instagram, but you find it difficult to concentrate your energy to read, to learn, to study. And then that's complacency. Number 2, you're not staying up to date with your class notes, with your class member, and with the learning that is happening in your class. Trust me, complacency is eating you up. Is eating up your career. Is eating up your future. It's trying to build a house in your mansion. And if you allow it, it is going to destroy you. It's going to bring you some quiet pleasure or security or contentment or a self-feeling of enough. And you would think you have arrived, but yet you're destroying your career. Number 3 signs that complacency may be eating you up, where you're not seeking or taking advantage of new opportunities for learning. When you hear that there's going to be a group discussion, 7 a.m. tomorrow morning inside the library, you heard about it and you fail to show up. When you hear that during night class, there will be a tutorial for physics student, for economics student, for student of business management, and you fail to show up, and you fail to take advantage, and you hear that there's a new material that everybody's sharing amongst one another, and you fail to get the material at all costs, then you are not taking advantage of the new opportunities for learning. Trust me, complacency is already building a mansion in your head. Number 4, if you're not maintaining or building learning relationships with brilliant students in your class. I notice some people, the people they actually fight are the intelligent and the brilliant students in their classes. And guess who they make their friends? The people they get similar scores together. The people who they get zeros, they get 0 to 10 out of hundreds together. They are your friends. You do not know that iron sharpened iron. So a man, the countenance of his friend. You must build learning relationship with intelligent students in your class, with brilliant students in your class. When you see the score of a test or classwork or a project, and you see that you have 40 and someone gets 70, a non-complacent student will reach out to the guy with the 70. You want to know the things you didn't write. You want to know how you didn't write it. You want to understand why you couldn't get 70. That is the essence of an effective learner. You want to know why there's this gap. And when you sort out with the person that's got 70, you look out for if there's anyone with a score of 85. You want to check the gap between 70 and 85, the gap between 85 and 40. And you want to correct everything, such that subsequent tests and project, you also want to be able to deliver at those rates. When you now notice that you are not friends with intelligent minds, and you're making friends with colleagues of yours who score 30, 42, 39, and you are laughing and comparing yourselves together, trust me, the difference between you guys at the lower end is just almost marginally negligible. It is of wisdom that you seek those with very high score. I'm not talking about 50. I'm not talking about 60. I'm talking about people with very high score. Make friends with the brilliant in the class if you are not yet considered brilliant. Because when you pay this price, you will soon move from that realm to the realm of the brilliant. I promise you. So you need to deal with complacency. You need to deal with complacency. Number 5, You don't contribute to or share opinion or ask questions about or seek clarifications in class again. When you become so dead to class and you're no longer passionately interested, alive in class, then you must know that complacency has built a mansion in your brain. You must be careful. You must flush out those mansions of complacency. You must live your life with passion. You must live your life with energy. You must live your life with intelligence. You must live your life actively. Please, how do I combat this demon called complacency? Develop a swift recognition for every act of complacency in your life and deal with it fast. Don't let down your guard. Stay actively learning. Maintain momentum. Get happy about your learning. Make sure you're happy about it. Keep setting ambitious, clear, and realistic goals every time. When you get that textbook, start setting ambitions. I must finish 4 chapters a day, 4 chapters in 2 days. I must finish the whole book in 6 months. Set ambitious, clear, realistic goals. Align it with your current life timetable and make sure it is happening. Avoid being a know-it-all person. No one will ever know it all. No matter how well read you are, there's still a part of that book you don't know. There's still a part of that subject you don't know. That's why we all remain humble. No matter how much we know, we are calm. After knowledge, we put self-control. Be open to new learnings daily. Welcome fresh ideas. Welcome fresh ideas. If you think you're the best in the class, then challenge yourself with the next class. Challenge yourself with the next class. Never stop growing. Never stop investing. Never stop learning. Seek to learn from the best, always. Embrace change. Participate in healthy competitions and complement each other. Participate in healthy competition. I do not want the kind of rivalry, kind of pulling down competition, but something that is healthy in a class. 10 of you, give yourself targets, read books, explain to each other, come back to group discussions, have a clear destiny, a clear goal. Look to the future, use your creative imagination always, and you will break through the whims of complacency. You must be resilient. You must be resilient, and you must be ready to reinvent yourself continuously. Be resilient. Be ready to reinvent yourself continuously. Number 3 is fear of the unknown. You are worrisome. You have anxiety. I brought this to phobia. Phobia is the fear of, eleuterophobia, the fear of knowledge. Hypigyaphobia, the fear of responsibility. We must be ready to love knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, you must love knowledge. You must love to know. You must love to learn. You are a student for life, forever. You must love knowledge. You must love to know. So get rid of every phobia of knowledge, every fear of responsibility, fear of the unknown, fear of the unfamiliar, fear of the uncomfortable and unpleasant and natural. It's powerful occasionally, primitive human emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous or likely to cause me pain or a threat or lead to failure. A feeling of anxiety concerning the outcome of something or the safety of someone. We need to be careful because as humans, we do rationalize our fears. I urge you, students, today, fear could be physical or psychological. I need you to know that they scare you like if you read too much, you can go mad. It's a lie. It's a lie. You do not need to be anxious or worried about that. You need to be calm. You need to be stable in your emotions. You need to read for as long as your capacity can take the concentration. You need to deal with your fears. Be sure to deal with your fears when you see that you settle for less than your dream or your plan. When you say yes, when you mean to say no, you are under, something is manipulating you. There's a fear around your corner. Or you don't talk when your feelings are being hurt. You understand? When you notice someone is hurting your feelings and you cannot open up and is affecting your learning, you've got to open up. It is your right to open up. When you're afraid of being criticized, being rejected, or you're afraid of failure, that is fear happening in your life. You may need to talk to someone. You may need to confide in a teacher, a counselor, a coach, a mentor. You must get rid of yourself. You must rid yourself of the fear of failure as a student. You must rid yourself of the fear of rejection. You must know that criticism is one of the basic tenets of life that drives growth, either positive or negative. You need to have a very good body to absorb them and kill the negative criticism and embrace the positive criticism. When you procrastinate, when you find it difficult to make decisions, when you micromanage the things that are around you, you are definitely operating in fear. You have got to be careful. You've got to be careful. How do you combat or kill your learning fears? Number one, you must seek proper understanding of your learning environment. Number two, you must stay calm always. Stay calm at any point where someone wants to push you into a rush. Just you have it as a right to remain calm. You have it as a right to remain calm and understand what is happening. Understand the outcomes, understand the way things are being done. Use your imagination in a positive way. Stop thinking that things are going to end up as failure. Stop thinking. When that flow comes, shut it down, kill it, and start declaring something positive. When you keep speaking positive, very soon your mind will embrace it and it will start believing with you. You must think long term. You must think long term. So if I'm in secondary school, my goal is not to end as a secondary school holder. My goal is to have a master's, is to get a PhD, is to become a doctor, is to become that lawyer, an excellent one. So if my goal is not a short-term goal, then I don't limit my capacity. I don't allow the fear of WAEC to ruin my life because I know a greater exam than WAEC is around the corner. I am going to write UTME. I am going to write other exams as an undergraduate. I'm going to write SAT. I'm going to write TOEFL. So if I allow the fear of a terminal exam to redo me, then I am not ready for greatness. And because I am a project read student, I am born for greatness. I am a star. I am a Valdymas project read star. I think long term. I think because of where I'm going, I am going to become the president of Nigeria. So an exam like WAEC cannot be my rate limiting step. That will help me to combat that learning fear. I must leverage on the advantage of my colleagues and my peers that are around me. I can never work in isolation. We grow in a community. We don't grow in isolation. I get help where necessary. I self-confess. I am real. I tell people how I feel immediately. I'm willing to pivot. Pivot means the ability to change direction where necessary. I'm willing to adapt. I'm willing to reinvent my strategy. If my method of reading physics is effective for physics, but it is not effective to understand geography, it is not effective to understand the figures of speech in English language, I need to pivot when I'm reading English. I need to adapt when I'm reading economics. I need to adapt and reinvent myself when I'm reading biology. I love physical sciences. I love the things I can see, I can touch. I love them. I really don't like to sit down to read for long. But because I had to study a biological science course, I had to sit down to read. I had to learn to sit down. I had to learn to adapt. I had to learn to reinvent myself. So you must be passionate about reinventing yourself. Number 4, pride or arrogance. A high or inordinate opinion of one's own dignity, importance, merit, or superiority. Whether as cherished in your mind or as displayed in your bearing, in your conduct, and in your words. When you have a high or inordinate opinion of yourself and you believe that you're superior to others and that others are so inferior, they do not count as anything, or they just count as minuscule decimalization or something insignificant. You need to be careful. You need to be careful when you have this inordinate opinion. You need to manage it carefully. Learning requires deep humility. The word humble is derived from the Latin word humus, meaning earth. To be humble then means to be down to earth. You must be down to earth to relate with everyone. Pride is that desire in you to receive more praise. It is the desire to feel exalted above others. That is where the danger comes in. It is good to have a sound esteem. It's good to have a very good opinion of yourself, but it becomes bad when that opinion does not allow you to be able to interact with everyone in a down-to-earth model. So you have to beware of pride when you find the following: when you need reassurance through the praise of others, or when you feel self-pity when people are not praising you, when you want to generate self-pity because you cannot get the praise of men, when you start finding fault or flaws in others, or you are struggling to even empathize with others in their dangerous moment, you have to be careful. When you are controlled by other people's opinion of you or considering what they think of you, when other people's opinion of you is what guides your mood, whether you are happy or unhappy, then you need to be careful. Pride may be creeping in. When you love having all the attention on yourself and you're not willing to serve or to help others, then there is a problem. You need to check the background. When you're not willing to be accountable to your parents, accountable to your teachers, accountable to your mentors or your coach, then you need to start sensing what is going on. You're trying to present yourself as someone who you are not. That's pretense. It's driven by a background of pride. When you avoid people who know more than you in class, when you have people who know more than you or who can help you, who have better capacity, and you're trying to avoid them just to show that you are independent on your own, then you need to be careful. Pride may be creeping in. Pride may be creeping in. It's dangerous. And so because of that, how do you deal with it? Number one, every lie, every pride is driven by a lie. Every pride is driven by a lie. There's a lie within you that you're believing, that you're holding on to. As long as you can identify that lie and tell yourself the truth about the lie, the pride will go. Forget the concept of I, me, myself. Be modest in your behavior. Number three, learn to be self-aware or to understand yourself. Admit your mistakes. Take responsibility for failure. Learn. Take responsibility for failure. Apologize when needed. Apologize. Be humble enough to say, I am sorry. I am sorry. I am genuinely sorry. Consider others more important or to be courteous to others. Put others above self. Put others above self. Listen more. Talk less. Give compliments accurately. Don't give compliments to deceive people. Don't give compliments that are lower than what people are worth. Give accurate compliments always. If something is good, mention that it is good. If something is excellent, mention that it is excellent. When something is bad, do not say it is excellent. When something is bad, do not say it is good. When something is bad, if you cannot put out a compliment on it, then keep short. Keep quiet. Give compliments accurately. Avoid positions that can push you to pride if necessary. Avoid company of friends that can push you to pride. Pride can prevent you from learning because learning requires deep humility from the mind to believe that my teacher can pour knowledge into me. Learning is like potential difference. You must be ready to take the lower end when you want to learn and allow the person to take the higher end to be able to teach you. And because learning is that way, even if a young chap is the one teaching you, automatically at the point of learning, the young chap becomes an adult and you become a child. It is that way until you know, until you can equilibrate the volume of knowledge. So learn from examples of humble people around you. Learn. You need to learn, and you need to learn effectively. Number 5 is rebellion. You see, when changes become necessary, not to change becomes destructive. Rebellion is a dangerous demon. This manifests as refusal to obey, to submit, or creating resistance to authority or principles. When you find yourself always against the principle, the instruction of the school, you are fighting a demon called rebellion. It also includes evading of or failure to follow duly established order or to resist change when necessary. And I just mentioned when change becomes necessary and you fail to embrace the change, not to change becomes destructive. Not to change becomes destructive automatically for you. When you notice you have a tendency not to obey the authority responsible for conducting order in your learning environment, when your class rep says it's time to keep quiet, and that's the time in you to make noise. When your class rep says the teacher is on the way, and that is the time for you to leave the class. When it's time for group discussion, that is the time you walk away. When it is time for you to file in an order to get library books, that is the time you escape to the football field. When it's the time for you to listen in class, that is the time you choose to play games. When it's the time for you to write your notes, that is the time you decide to do something else. Those are tendencies that seek to destroy your effective learning attitude, your effective learning ability and capacity. When it's time for you to learn, that's the time you remember you're hungry and you need to go and cook food. You need to, and I'm talking about more advanced students now. When it's a time for you to learn, that's the time for you to remember music rehearsals. When it's time for you to learn, that is when you remember you must go somewhere. And that going somewhere becomes very important at that point, far more than your learning. That is a tendency for a rebellious mind. Rebels want to do what they want to do in their way and when they want to do it. They act from a source of freedom, choice, and self-expression in their mind. They show resistance to both internal and external expectations from their teachers. You see, rebellion can be individual or collective. If you notice you're individually doing it today, I would urge you to stop. If you notice that you're in a group of friends that are continuously being rebelling against authority, especially against learning, I would urge you to remove yourself from that group and destroy that group. It could be a peaceful rebellion. That's where it's dangerous. Some of you may just be peaceful, silent in class, but you're not listening. You're not obeying instruction. You don't answer any question. You take yourself towards the back of the class. Peaceful. Silent means you decide to keep quiet against every odds. This is a bit more dangerous because you know what you're doing, but you're using silence and peace to cover up. I imagine peaceful and silent as almost similar. The one that is very obvious, that attracts a lot of punishment and dealing with is violence, violent rebellion. These ones speak up. They say no publicly. They antagonize. These ones are much more attitude. They have more attitudinal deficit. Even though any form of rebellion, peaceful, silent, or violent is bad, this violent is worse because it could also lead to destruction of properties. So we have to learn. We have to understand. You may have some rebellious tendencies when you find the following in your life. When you notice that you're always doing or going to the opposite direction of instructions given, when you're not afraid to say no to your teacher in the public, or asking anti-questions publicly from your colleagues, from your teachers, or from the school authority. People love to raise up their hands in the assembly and ask negative questions, or questions that seek to be challenging the authority of the school. You have to be careful where you're carrying such spirit. Failing to commit to learning method or class method or assignment or project. If you fail to commit to instructions in class, you may be dealing with rebellious spirit. When you want to do something different from others, but in an antagonistic or disruptive way, it's good to stand differently, but you must stand differently in a constructive way. But when you now seem to be antagonistic, controversial, or disruptive, then that is rebellion. When you resist both internal and external expectation of the learning environment, you love to eat people, you love to take people's note away, to cause disruption in the environment, then that is rebellion. When you feel a sense of freedom or choice, whenever an instruction is being passed across and you feel the choice of not obeying the instruction, you must deal with the spirit of rebellion. You must understand that as a student, you need to align by the rules of the organization. You see, you need to learn to understand your motivations for learning, and you must refocus your energy towards learning diligently. You must learn to be a team player and learn as a group or as a class. Your identity is important to you. Yes, I know. But you must be careful about your reputation and the goals you want to accomplish. When the goal you're pursuing will destroy your reputation and hence your identity, then the goal may not be worthwhile in the long run. Example is Judas Iscariot. Yes, Judas made the money, but the reputation he earned for himself, the identity he earned for himself, till the world will end, no one will name his child Judas Iscariot. It's dangerous when you achieve a goal and you destroy your name. So you have to be careful. You must preserve your identity, your reputation. As a coach or as a teacher, when you have a rebellious student in your class, you must ensure you stay calm and in control of your emotions always. They seek to go after your emotion. Show them the impact of their behavior. Take time to recognize their accomplishments and their good behavior. Perhaps that will kill the negative side of them. Decide on fair and age-appropriate rules for them. Decide on appropriate consequences and punishment for breaking those rules. Seek counseling yourself if you have many rebellious students in your class, and then get the child to meet with a counselor if you think the child needs help. So please, let's be open-minded. Number 6 is sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. We have to be careful. Sincere ignorance is when you believe that something is right with no background or basis to that belief. Believing that one race is superior to others, and that's racism, is what we call sincere ignorance. Sincere ignorance is when you enter a class, no fundamental basis, you believe you're more intelligent than every other person in the class. That is a sincere ignorance. Conscientious stupidity means that you're making decision to live in error. And people are trying to correct you that, look, you're believing something that is a misinformation, and you're saying no, and that's dangerous. So the current climate change is an example of conscientious stupidity. You see, even presidents of nations can be conscientiously stupid occasionally. So because this is possible, as a student, you need to listen. You need to listen for the possibility that you are being guided by misinformation, and you compare the consequences of both sides. Look for people who are held on to either beliefs and see where their life is in 5, in 10, in 15 years. This will open up your mind and make you know that am I operating in sincere ignorance or conscientious stupidity? This is largely against the reason why some people don't learn. They sincerely feel they know when they actually truly do not know. They are guided by misinformation because the school just wants to pass you so that you can promote from SS1 to SS2. That does not make you a good science student. What makes you a good science student is your ability to read, to study, to intellectualize, to pass external exams, to study and know. That is the basis for learning. The score you get in class is not the final basis for your learning. So you must not be sincerely ignorant. You must open up your mind to learning daily. Do not be conscientiously stupid. I am sure you remember the quote by Martin Luther King Jr. There's nothing more dangerous than that, than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. The last thing I will talk about is exhaustion, a state of extreme physical, emotional, or mental fatigue, the state of being extremely tired. You see, there are 3 types of fatigue. There's the transient fatigue, and there's the cumulative one over time, and there's the circadian one that comes frequently, every 48 hours, every week, every month. As is the rhythm, it comes in circles. You must be careful of any of the 3, and you must be open to understanding how your body operates. For transient one, is a good rest, good sleep may help. For cumulative one, like I've been pushing myself because of exam, and I kept pushing myself until the exam day comes. After the exam, a day or 2 may help to relax, but it still doesn't mean you relax forever because you're building a capacity and you cannot afford to lose focus. Fatigue can lead to loss of interest in learning. It can lead to decline in school performance. It can even lead to negative health outcomes and refusal to even attend school, I know. In fact, of late, Zoom or technology fatigue is a new learning fatigue. Recently mentioned during this COVID-19 era, people get a Zoom fatigue because now we have to learn online. You sit down and you keep learning for long, and you get out with headaches, with blurred vision, dizziness, tired mental status. This is also a fatigue you need to be careful about. People are fatigued. People who are fatigued are more easily distracted. They are less able to concentrate. They tend to forget things more easily. They even take longer time to solve a minor problem. They make more mistakes in the process of solving the problem. They have slower reaction time to issues, and they take more risk than they might even otherwise. And exhaustion always comes from a state of high concentration. You've been a good student before. All of a sudden, you just got exhausted. You have to be careful not to fall into this state. And because of that, you need adequate sleep and good diet. You need adequate exercise. You need to take time out to rest and reinvigorate yourself occasionally. Then you need to love to create new values, new targets, new goals. All those things would birth new enthusiasm, new passion, new joy, new meaning to life. All these are what we use to combat exhaustion. Have I not been exhausted in history? Yes, I have. But how did I deal with it? I created new ambitions, new goals, new targets. I recrafted my plan. I took on adequate sleep. I took time off. I rested, and I came back with more energy. So I know that as long as you abide by this, you will conquer exhaustion. So we talked about 7 things, 7 poor attitudes that can affect effective learning. And I hope today I've been able to convince you that Valdymas Project Read is the best thing for any student to be upon, and it would help you. You must understand that to destroy the future of a nation, all you need is to encourage their young students, their young mind, to engage in examination malpractices. But we are saying no to that. We do not want to damage your capability to read, to study, to learn, and to intellectualize. Instead, we are helping you to rebut courage, strength, and mental and emotional capacity to go through sound academic rigor. We know that there's no shortcut in life. Everyone who talks about a shortcut ends up destroying their future. For you to achieve greatness in your future, you cannot afford examination malpractices. When they do examination runs for you, they eventually give you a certificate, but they have shortchanged you the academic strength you're supposed to gain along the journey. Do not destroy the future of our educational institution. You understand? We at Valdymas are given to sound academic training. We know that the strength of a nation is not in the ability to fight war, but the capacity of our young minds. Therefore, all academic success without integrity and character, without inbuilt competence, leads to failure in life. We are sure about that. And that's why our belief is that academics is what you're taught. Education is what you teach yourself. Revelation is what you discover yourself to become. Innovation is the changes you spearhead, and transformation and the transformation you're able to create. Wealth and power will be given to you when you become great spontaneously. Because of that, we want many more great men, not just successful men. Many more great men, not just successful men. This is Valdymas College of Advanced and Preliminary Studies. We're a place of eternal excellence. We are the joy of many generations. We are the industry standard for access, for quality, and for relevant education. We operate the best and the most innovative school management system in Nigeria. You can reach the school admin via 08061716217. That is Valdymas. We stand for excellence always. Thank you so much for joining me on this.